Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Comedy Pop-Up Podcast. Our next live show is Tuesday, September 11th at Los Globos in Silver Lake. This is going to be a very special show consisting of only hosts of the CPU Podcast Network. For more information on that show or any of our future shows, please check out our website, comedypopupla.com. All right, let's start the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Comedy Pop-Up Podcast. I am your guest host this week, Paul Antonio, filling in for the homie Ron G, who is filming his Nickelodeon show. So, I mean, I think this is more important.
Sure. But you can't say no to that Nickelodeon money.
Can't say no to being a dad on TV. I have two wonderful guests, two great comedians. First, let me introduce Brent Sullivan from Michigan.
Yeah.
That's like the radio intro, right?
Kind of, sure.
Calling in from Michigan. You've seen it on Conan, Pete Holmes Show. He has his album, Bar City, or his podcast, You're Making It Worse.
Be one of the first 20 people to buy my album. It's been out for 4 months. And Bar City, Amazon, iTunes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get it. Spotify?
Yeah, I think so.
For people who don't want to actually
for people
support.
who don't want to spend $10. Yeah.
Get it on SoundCloud. That's what I want to release it. And our other guest is from Pittsburgh by way of Ohio. He is a regular and also has his own shows at the Laugh Factory, Improv, Comedy Store.
Yes, sir.
Maybe the Haha. I just want to give you that fourth
yeah,
one.
dude, I love it.
To be determined.
To be determined, yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Vinny Fasline, everybody.
Thank you,
What's
guys.
up?
Thank you. What's up?
This is
Yeah,
my
thanks for
happy to be
having me, man.
Thank you guys for coming on the show. It was you guys are by far the only guest to ever show up early to the show.
Yeah, did you know I would, because I got here like 40 minutes early.
Oh, you
and
did?
you were
Yeah.
20 minutes early, which
Yeah, well,
I just was like, oh, he must have sent him a text
I
or
asked
something.
I asked him, I was like, can I come early? And he's like, everyone's starting at 2 because I got acting rehearsal at 3:30. So I was like, I got to hurry up.
That's
Yeah,
adorable.
yeah.
That's adorable. You have
Yeah.
acting rehearsal at 3:30. You got to get out of here to get there. Wait, where is it? Is it also in Koreatown?
No, it's in
Korean
Los
acting
Feliz.
school.
Oh, all right.
Getting ready for those
Korean acting.
yeah.
those Korean dramas. The neighbor like, what? You called me? We'll just see what happens. Yeah, guys. So welcome to the show. Ron G has his policy of no small talk, so I think we're just
right.
going to jump into it. Did you guys?
Would you just
First
going to jump
question?
into the weather? Is that
I was just going to say that. Yeah. First question, how's the weather?
So how was your day going today, guys? Did you see anybody funny on the streets?
Yeah.
Or what's that? Comics Unleashed, like the questions that he asked us. So I heard you're growing older.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Like the
my
way he
God.
intros.
He just set you up for bits.
I've never seen it, but I've heard it's like so like ridiculous. Like, how do you prefer people to bag your groceries at the grocery store? And someone's
Exactly.
like, all right, well, here we go. You know.
Your dad went through something like that, right?
Yeah,
Oh
right,
yeah. Let me
right.
tell
I
you.
feel like all those radio shows, those TV shows, like they all prompt you with joke, like, okay,
Very,
so you just got out of a relationship and you broke up in Riviera Maya and May. Can you tell us about?
But you know
like,
what? If you aren't in that or do that, I don't think you would ever notice. Because, I mean, even watching late night shit conversations, it wasn't until a couple years ago that I found out that they don't even meet before.
Yeah.
Which, of course, makes sense. But, like, only 5-6 years ago, someone was like, oh, yeah, the producer talks to the celebrity. They get the 3 bullet points.
Yep.
And then the celebrity comes in and they pretend like they're friends. And
Yeah.
I swear to God, I didn't know that until I was,
Oh, man.
5-6 years ago or something.
Yeah, it looks fake.
Do you think you would have known that, like, when you were 22?
No, when I was 22. No. But now it's like you could definitely tell. You know.
Yeah.
And I've been on sets of some of those like shows. I even did like a little interview thing on Fab Life. No, I'm not gonna throw credit out there. But,
Pluggy.
No, but they don't care. They just like it's just like it's
Right.
production.
Right.
Let's cut down costs. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. I just went to like my first radio thing for like, plugging a gig or whatever. And I didn't know it was going to be like that. It's literally like you're just standing there hanging around. They're just like BSing with you. And then they're like, all right, so we're going to say this and this. And then you just come at it. And it's just joke.
Yeah.
And then, all right, back on break.
Yeah, right.
Here's
right. And then
Metallica.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So did you guys start out, did you start out in Pittsburgh and then you started out in Michigan? Or did you guys?
Yeah, I started in Michigan. I did it for a short while, and then I moved to New York after college and did it in New York, and then I did it, and then I did it here. I've hated
lived
it
in
all
New
3
York?
places. Yeah, I lived in Williamsburg for 6 years.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great.
What's the scene like compared to? I mean, I've been to New York, but it's like living there has to be 10 times better comedy wise.
Well, I mean, I loved it, but I'm one of these guys that I don't have to go up 3 times a week.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 3 times a day
Yeah.
to feel like I'm a functioning comedian. Are you a purist?
If I could get up 3 times a day, I would.
Yeah.
If I could.
Yeah.
And it's not, but we don't have that luxury.
It's not easy
here.
to do in LA.
Even if you're crazy famous, it's like, I mean, there's not as many places to get up.
Sure.
And not everybody, can get up that many times a day. Right. So, yeah, I mean, you could do little shows or whatever, but I mean, there's definitely not as many as New York.
Yeah.
If I had the chance, I would do it. I love comedy, man. It's it's my therapy.
That's good, really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I feel like if I could be in the worst mood in the world, if I get off stage, I feel like I just threw up bees.
Yeah, it's true.
It's incredible.
It's true. Did you ever have like a really bad day? Like some shit fell through, or you're just feeling like a piece of garbage, and then you go to a show and you're like, if this show goes poorly, I'm gonna fucking jump off a bridge. But then it goes well, and you're like, all right, everything's good. I'm fine.
Oh, definitely.
Everything's fine.
Definitely. I mean, I've had the days where they've been absolutely terrible, and you do the shows, and the shows were garbage. Like, but you still feel better. You're just like, man.
Brent, if you could switch it, would you rather have started out in LA and go to New York? Or would you keep it New York to LA?
When I was in New York, I just had a ton of fun. It was great. I made a bunch of friends. We were kind of in the alt scene, so to speak. And so the shows were great. The crowds were fucking fantastic. Especially coming from Michigan, where like crowds tended to be a little dumber and like wanted kind of
in Michigan.
Yeah. Is that a surprise? So I don't think I would change it for anything, But yeah, it does take a while to kind of get adjusted to LA. So I definitely have days where I'm like, I wish I'd started this earlier.
Yeah.
But
how long have you been to stand up again?
Like 11 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But you did Conan recently?
Like a year ago.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I guess the stereotype then is that in New York, it's mostly, like comics, but out here in LA, it's a lot of like, actors and like now you have your Instagram stars and basically people who are just using comedy as a stepping stone.
Sure.
Yeah, it's changed.
Yeah. Do you agree with that stereotype?
How long have you been out here?
I've been here it'll be 6 years in October.
Okay, yeah.
I did start in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I've been doing comedy for straight on 9 years, but I started when I was 16. So, I mean, I didn't do it again until I was like 23.
Yeah.
My story, we won't get into it, but it's the quick version is I had a brain tumor when I was 14, and then I had surgery, and I started doing all these crazy things. So I tried comedy when I was 16 as a bucket list thing, and I did it. And then And then when I was like 23, I was like, that was fun. Like, let's really do it, And then I took it seriously, got Pittsburgh Improv, and then for a few years, I worked in Pittsburgh, and then I came out here and. Yeah. Wow.
Wait. So let's talk about that brain tumor.
What
was that? Yeah. Was it the kind of thing that was easily? Were they able to treat it?
Yeah. I had surgery and I had seizures and stuff for before and after for a few years. I just had surgery, and then after they took it out, they just check every 5 years to make sure it doesn't grow. It's not malignant, but it could regrow, but it shouldn't. Knock on wood.
Yeah, you knock on your head. There you go. That's great.
But it should be good. So, anyways,
I actually have a friend who was a Make-A-Wish kid, and because he had cancer, and I forget what celebrity it was that he met, but he said it was like the worst, most awkward experience, and then he survived. So he still has this experience of like meeting this like his idol, who he said it was just like the most awkward conversation of his life, and he's still around. He still
maybe
thinks
that's
about
the
it
trade-off.
Like every day. Yeah, I guess
like
so.
I'm gonna ruin your idol, but you're gonna live, man.
Yeah, I guess so. Right?
And he's like, I don't want to live in this world.
Who is his idol? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Oh man,
I don't remember. I know that would make the story better.
Tom Cruise or something.
Tom Cruise.
It'd be weird if it was like the backup point guard on the Clippers, and you're like, that was the idol that you chose. You had anybody in the world.
Oh man, I want the Rams water boy.
Well, this is a discussion that I've had with a lot of comics too, regarding terminology. So you've obviously heard the term comedian. You've heard the term comic. In your guys' opinions, do you think that those are two different terms, or do you think they refer to the same thing?
That's very philosophical of you.
Dude.
I'm telling you.
I don't know.
We're getting deep today, man.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I have a particularly strong opinion one way or the other about it. I think I use both interchangeably. In a weird way, I think I use comic with people who aren't in the business for some reason.
Comic with the stand-up. Okay.
Like before a date or something, I'll be like, I'm a comic.
I'll definitely, I won't call just a person that's not doing stand-up comedy a comic. Like, if they're just a
Hobby
improver or a comedic actor or something. I don't look at them as a comic.
Okay.
But I look at stand-up comics or comedians and comics.
Ah, interesting.
Because I feel like increasingly there's a lot of like
stance?
Instagram stars that are like referring to themselves as like comedians and stuff, but they only do sketches.
Yeah, but I wouldn't consider them comics.
I wouldn't either, but I also think it's unfair to think of only a stand-up as a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like I wouldn't call Bill Murray a comedian per se, but if someone did, I wouldn't be jolted by it. But Bill Murray doesn't do stand-up.
Yeah.
But he's a that's a bad example because he's a legend. But not to compare him with fucking all these losers. But like
it's hilarious.
I can't even think of one of them.
I had this moment. I had this moment after a gig, and it was with a comic that we were talking about before the show. That we're not going to say his name on the air, but he was telling me that a comedian is somebody that quits everything they're doing and only makes their money through comedy, or like makes the majority of their money through comedy. And I was like, well, I'm making $0 right now, so I guess I'm a comedian.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but also like I think you can call yourself a comedian before you're making $60,000 a year doing it, or
I guess if
God willing more.
It depends on the work you put in, right? Like if it's not like, obviously there's hobbyists that'll do it once in a blue moon and stuff like that, but I think if it's your passion and that's what you want to go towards.
But I do also, I'll say this, I resent when I see on like Tinder, someone will have on their profile, I'm a comedian, and you're like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
And I can, you can tell from his picture, it's like he's like at an open mic or something. And you're like, I mean, of course it's fine that you call yourself that, but like, no, I've been around a lot longer. Fuck I guess I get defensive about that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole thing with like Al Madrigal and Steve-O, right? When he was talking about being a comedian, because Al Madrigal doesn't believe Steve-O's a comedian and really attacked him for that. I mean, it is a weird brand of comedy too, kind of going on stage more like stunt based and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still in the stand up arena.
Sure.
Oh, of course.
Does Steve-O do clubs and shit?
Yeah.
In theaters?
I did a
Comedy
show.
Store
I
all
did a
the
show
time.
with him a month ago.
Yeah. Well, then
He did straight stand up, but then he showed a video of his like
maybe Al Madrigal got to him.
one of his episodes. Maybe he's been doing stand up for years. He's actually going to do a Netflix special. And he showed a video of one of his like this things that he would put in Jackass that he didn't put in. And everyone was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was so gross. Bro.
Really?
I'm not even going to throw it out. He's probably going to show it on
right,
so
right.
I'm not going to say what it was yet, but
drinking
it was like
donkey semen or something like
dude,
that.
It was fucking bad.
Dude, that's crazy. But you know what? I've noticed that too. Like I did Irvine Improv like a couple months ago, right? And the next week, like we had problems filling up the room for the show. But the week after
you had
that,
problems filling a 600-seat venue?
Exactly, right.
Fair enough.
And but the people who were there the next week were just what they are like video game YouTubers.
Sure.
And they sold that bitch out for the whole weekend.
That's the way the comedy clubs are going now. They're actually rebranding to be entertainment clubs.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have different podcasts. They're going to have different types of celebrities, even music, which sucks because you want comedy clubs to be branded comedy clubs.
Yeah, to stick that way.
It's everything turns out to be a business, and they're like, we just want to make sure the butts and seats and people are paying.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It does suck, but I respect that they don't have enough wiggle room to be purists about it. That like if I don't bring more than 10 people to the Irvine Improv, then I could understand the drive to get someone who will.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
But yeah,
when it's a business thing,
but I get the instinct of like, because for me a lot of times like Instagram comedians, the people on Vine who got like really big, they were doing shit. Not always, but a lot of times they're doing shit. You're like, this is a joke I couldn't have done in the 80s because it's so hack or generic or silly. But, the internet allows for that.
Yeah.
And God love them, If it allows for it, then why not do it? But you're like, the point to me of stand-up is that like you're trying to represent yourself on stage, but also be authentic and genuine. And so, when you see someone who's just doing like, I'm trying to think of a good example, but you see someone who's doing like hack shit from the 80s, you're like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
He has like 2 million followers.
Yeah.
Every time he drinks a Sprite on it, on Periscope, he gets like $50,000.
It's all recycled jokes
dude,
and stuff.
it's crazy. I mean, hey, more power to them if they're making them. The only thing that I hate is that people are trying to catapult their online careers that don't work at stand-up. Like if you're a real stand-up, you've been working at this for years. You've suffered, right? So it's like, do you feel that you see these people that come in, whether they're coming in from like an acting side or a YouTube side, that don't really try stand-up, and then they just start touring clubs? You know, it's just like a thing to make money. Do you look at it like?
I guess it. I mean, to me, it's sort of like what I said, which is like I do get annoyed when I see like super young people with a ton of followers, probably because they're like really hot, you know, and then they're touring or like doing theaters or something. That does kind of get under my skin, but like I don't know. I guess. But the other thing is, I've never like dreamed of touring. I don't like love touring.
Yeah.
So that's never been like my end all goal.
I also feel like they don't dream of touring either, but it's money. That's why they do it. But the thing is, longevity-wise, it won't work, because then they get out there and they're not stand-ups, and then they try to, and now they're just telling stories, and people are like,
weird shit.
It's just they won't get, these people won't buy tickets. Like
also,
4 years from now.
I mean, people are used to. We're all used to this. You're used to, you know, these 15-second videos, 30-second videos on Instagram, or 2-minute videos on YouTube, and now you're standing in front of a group of people for 45 minutes, and I would imagine that would be very difficult to transition from, dumb shit on Instagram to like actually doing 45 minutes. But who knows? Maybe they make it work. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think it would be less offensive then to like the comedy community if they just did, like, I feel like this is a proper solution to just have them host like the show and bring on like professional comedians, to like kind of showcase them.
Wait, so they draw the crowd and they host?
They draw the crowd and almost like Ron Jeremy, because that's what Ron Jeremy does.
Sure.
Like, if you put his name, I know it's a weird pull, but
I was gonna say that's very specific.
But
very specific.
I didn't realize he
example.
was doing that.
He does, yeah. So it was crazy. We followed him when he did this. Of all the places, Derby's in Hemet, which is comedy mecca.
Did he do comedy?
Hemet.
He's been doing comedy, yeah.
Hemet is a garbage town, right?
Oh, it's all the Hills Have Eyes people.
Dude, Ron Jeremy almost killed me one night.
What? Okay, how?
I was walking down Hollywood Boulevard,
and he stabbed you in the eye.
He came out of Whiskey Go Go drunk, got in his car, and literally almost hit us. Like, came this close, and then he went across the Sunset like without. I'm sorry, not Hollywood, Sunset, and then he crossed over like super fast. And you know how they have those like pegs in the center of the street separating two, like those weird pegs?
Yeah.
He like hit all the pegs. I was like, dude,
Jesus.
Yeah. So I almost got killed by Ron Jeremy.
See, so he owes you a booking, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
He owes you a show in Hemet.
I better be on that show. That story's coming out on every podcast.
If you ever want to do Hemet, bro, let me know. I got that Ron Jeremy hookup.
But,
well, you know what? I did a show with Alana Glazer, who's famous from Broad City, and she's obviously incredible. But she did that. She hosted. And I actually felt weird because I'm like, they're here. They're obviously here for you.
Yeah.
But she's like, I like to host. I want to host. I'll do my time up front, and then I'll bring up you, and then I'll bring up Sabrina, and then we're done.
It's so interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
No. That's it.
Russell Peters loves to host.
Yeah.
Well, in different countries, it's I don't know where, but specifically, but certain places, the host is the headliner.
Yeah.
Like in Europe or Canada or whatever, the host is in England or something. I'm just like Riverside. I don't know. I'm just like coming up with random, right. On the moon. The headliner's the host, but the host is like the big name.
Yeah,
and he keeps coming out and doing.
I imagine it could work.
Yeah.
Right. Well, there's a lot of comics that are like, you look at like Gabriel Iglesias or Kevin Hart that are kind of bringing up the young cats that are like,
do they come out and bring them up?
Well, Stand Up Revolution, he did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I mean, that was all shot in
It was all
Ontario.
TV show kind of thing.
Yeah. It was more for TV and stuff. But
on a tour, I don't see him doing that.
Yeah, but I feel like that would almost ease because it's funny. Like I said, I'm in the studio so many hours a week, and I hear so many hours of podcasting a week.
Sure.
And the biggest
and you're
thing
gonna kill yourself. Is that what you're saying?
I'm gonna hang myself from this bathroom filled with autographs in the back. But one of the biggest complaints that you get is about Instagram stars. That's just the constant kind of beef between purists or people who are doing comedy, to do comedy, who never really got that bump from social media. But I mean, look at all the legends too that have like not a huge social media following. I mean, somebody that I look at like Alonzo Bowden, you know, who doesn't have a huge, because he never thought it would be important.
I know.
And now it's almost like,
well, most stand-up comedians don't like doing the formula of Instagram. Like it's not our passion, it's not fun. It is a job. Honestly, it is a job. And I've been doing it more recently just because I'm like, I held out for years.
Yeah, you took a pic before the podcast.
Yeah.
Did you post it?
No, not yet.
Oh, you didn't post it yet?
But I've been doing it. I will. I'm probably going to post it here in a minute. So I feel like it's part of it. I feel like I have to stay on top of it.
I did that. I never got into Twitter. I never liked Twitter. I never thought it was fun. And by the way, I got in
so late.
You know how many people like read Twitter who aren't comedians? Fucking no one. No one. Like I still like follow some
Trump
high school
followers.
friends, my brother's wife. You know, people who aren't in the industry at all. They never read Twitter, or you can tell they log on like once a week for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And comedians still talk about Twitter like it is the end all. Like this is the definitive resource. You got to go on Twitter. I don't know. To me, I just
to me, it's a dying.
Yeah,
art.
Twitter's
dying.
Twitter's dead.
Unequivocally, but I don't think it'll disappear.
It won't disappear, but it is. I got on it super late, so it was my bad. But
yeah,
but now, I mean, Twitter's just everybody attacking each other. Like it's almost like this weird elitist thing of like, you know, I'm gonna put you down and make my point look like the holiest of all like holy.
All of social
like,
media is like that.
Yeah.
I guess Instagram is maybe the least aggressive.
Probably because it has the least amount of interaction.
Because it's also the most narcissistic.
Yeah, and it's not really political.
It's about me. It's not about statements.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, speaking of Twitter, there's been a lot of.
That being said, follow me on Instagram.
Mr. Brent Sullivan on Instagram.
In case you want to see Brent in Hemet, please let's get that momentum going towards that show. But you've seen a lot of like baseball players get in trouble recently for like tweets that they sent out, but not recently. This is like tweets from like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 14 years. Do you guys think that people should be held accountable for stuff that they sent out? And let's put it in this context. Maybe when they were like 16 or 17.
Well, this is something is so, I think, relevant to our industry, and it really pisses me off. And I think the left is much more guilty, and of course I'm a lefty, but much more guilty about this than the right. But I feel like the trend has become you are only as good as your worst moment. So and I'm excluding sexual assault, obviously, from that. You're a monster if you're a rapist. But like, if you tweet something bad, if you say a shitty thing 10 years ago, I think it's reasonable to assume that you can grow from that moment. I've said shitty things before. I've always thought I'm running for Senate at some point, so I don't put them online. But like, I've always been like cautious about what I put. But like, no one has not said shitty things, and it's also the pinnacle of tyranny when people will try to get someone fired for saying a bad thing. Let's say some dumbass 16-year-old said something shitty 10 years ago about gay people or something. And like, yeah, fuck that. It sucks. But like, maybe they change their mind. Or maybe it doesn't matter what a 16-year-old tweets about gay people. And like, quit trying to get everyone fired for being assholes, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's just like this terrifying trend, especially in comedy, where you want to like... There is some nuance to like, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but occasionally I'm sure I've done it. And like, that doesn't mean in 5 years from now I should be fired from my job.
Exactly.
It's so dumb.
Exactly. Do you think it's ever going to enter like...
You're going to say something?
Oh, yeah.
No, I was going to say, no, that's all right. Yeah, I agree. I think, I guess it just depends on like what would happen or what was said to the caliber of it. Dude, we live in a sensitive world. It's like... That's why I've always been cautious about offending people. Some people don't care, but some people are just like a lot of comics. Comics are pretty honest. We're honest. That's why we're comics,
right?
So I think a lot of it, you know, is the fact that we just say all this outlandish shit that a lot of people wouldn't say, and then we you know get in trouble for it. But I mean, it depends. I mean, it depends on you know what it was said. Is it a statement or is it a joke?
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
but even then,
there's still gray area here where
like,
you can.
It's like, dude, we all make mistakes.
Right.
But the fact that the people have so much time to go back and be like, all right, in '93,
I know
when you were in Ohio, you said,
yeah, you wrote this on a bathroom wall or some shit. It's like
church wall.
Come on.
You're like, dude. I mean, I was 7.
What was said? What were the?
It was pretty horrendous stuff.
All right, well.
But it was also like.
What was it? What we?
Well, these were the baseball player tweets.
Oh, the baseball ones.
But
they're athletes, so we know they're degenerates.
Yeah,
exactly. Right.
So
we also know they're not joking. Like whatever they're saying is like nothing funny about it. It's just
but even if it's like so, but I mean, it's typical like 16-year-old, 17-year-old, like,
of course.
and you don't want to dismiss it and
what
be
they
like
say,
it
racist
doesn't.
stuff.
racist stuff, homophobic stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they went all in. But at the same time, it's like if they've grown from that, you know, it's kind of like leave it in the past.
Yeah.
Also, why don't you, when you sign your contract, why don't you hire someone to delete all your tweets?
They do that in corporate jobs.
Yeah, I have friends who just did it, like a bunch of friends who've done it recently. It's like, just delete your shit.
If I sign a contract, a big one, I'm deleting Twitter. I pretty much already done. I think I might have already deleted it, dude. I never go on.
Do you want to read one of them? Were you going to look it up?
Yeah, I could definitely read one. That's kind of sensitive. Hold on. I'll put a marker so I could edit this.
Yeah.
In post. I'll read Josh Hader's.
I think your phone just buzzed.
Was that mine?
I was jealous.
Really?
I feel like someone's did because mine's on silent. All right, maybe not. Do you ever get that like weird ghost? You think your phone, you know your phone just vibrated, and then you look and it didn't.
Yeah, you're like,
what the fuck is going on with
you? It's called being lonely. I look down, I'm like, did somebody text me?
I know.
Nobody.
Is there anything worse than landing after like a 5-hour flight and you've got no texts?
How would you don't use your phone for like a whole day because it's your birthday? I just oh man.
We get it, Vinny. You're loved.
Yeah. Nobody cares about me.
We get it. Let me see. Nobody's actually posting it. They were pretty horrendous. One just straight up said, "I hate gay people."
Yeah.
One said, let's see, use the N-word, allusion to white power, next to the emoji of a closed fist.
Yeah, that's definitely weird, but
it is weird tweets. But also,
but by any objective measure, they're offensive. But I also, I think it's an inconsistent standard. If you can be fired for at any point being an asshole, then anyone can look into your past and probably find something.
Oh yeah.
Or they can interview your friends and family and find out something you said at one point in your life and get you in trouble for it.
Yeah.
But because the millions of people who sign these change.org petitions or whatever to get whatever dumbass baseball player fired, they're not famous. They don't have a big contract, and so of course no one would care about what this guy said in high school when he was in northern Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I think it's a double standard in that sense.
Yeah. And what are your guys' predictions? Do you guys think that this culture, because I feel like at this point we're kind of in too deep in terms of I don't want to say it started with Roseanne, but like the Roseanne thing kind of set a precedent of like, if you say something like super fucked up, we're going to go and try and get you fired. But look what happened with like Al Franken, right? Like Al Franken, liberal left, right? He's done a lot for, his constituents. But then in a moment that he just took a goofy picture, all of a sudden he had to resign for that. Where I don't know if you guys saw the picture.
Yeah,
he's like fake groping.
Yeah, of course.
And it was almost like he was forced to resign because of everything he was stating about other people's other cases and being held to a certain standard.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's a little different when you are an elected official.
Yeah, sure.
In which case you are, people are voting for you to represent them, and then.
At that point, you just got to know, like, come on, like, I got to just, if you have a dark side, just hide it. Like, fucking hide it, Like,
or push it as hard as you can and hope that you become president.
Weren't there, but there were also, I think, beyond the picture, there were accusations that he kissed women, right? He'd like grab people and I don't know. I don't remember all the specifics about it, but and it didn't seem unreasonable that he resigned.
Even that's super because, obviously there's like a lot of stories coming out. The Me Too movement was very important, and, the Time's Up movement of getting these creeps out there too. But there's also a sense of so we just had a show a couple weeks ago where we had to remove one of the performers because they were accused of something. And
on the podcast?
No, not associated with this. It was a stand-up show.
Oh, okay.
Not a comedy pop-up one, but a different one. But I don't think Comedy Pop-Up would have ever booked this person. But we had to remove somebody because of allegations and stuff.
Ooh, and gossip.
Well, I mean,
who was it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to out anybody, but it also wasn't anybody of note. Like if I said the name, nobody would be like, "Oh yeah, that's exactly who it was."
Sure.
Or else it'd be a news story. But even then, like the power of just accusing somebody, like there's no more due process in terms of like in the court of public opinion. So like if somebody
there's never been due process in the court of a public opinion.
That's true.
But I mean, a public opinion is a public opinion. When Roy Moore was running for Senate in Alabama. Like their defense, Roy Moore was a Republican who was basically accused of trying to have sex with teenagers his whole life. To summarize it briefly, and he was like, "Well, I've never been convicted, and you know, what about a court of law?" And people were like, "It doesn't have to be a court of law. You're running for a political office."
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I guess I think I understand where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of guys kind of default to that, like, but what if it's not true? What if this happens to me and I didn't do that? And I don't think you have anything to worry about because, you know, this isn't to say that there aren't bad women who would try to ruin someone's reputation, but I think the percentage of that being the case would be so small.
Oh yeah,
and why would someone do? I just don't know why someone would do that. Why would someone say, "I want to get this guy kicked off an open mic"? I'm going to levy an accusation that he, you know, X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why someone would do that.
Yeah, and it's just insane. Where it's like, even if you're just like linked to something, it's like the response of like your employer or whoever's producing the event. Like if we would have let him on or whatever, no matter. Yeah. What the facts came out or whatever, it's like you're being seen as almost like an enabler and like that. So I mean, you just kind of have to. But I mean, you have to set that precedent. You know, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's like you kind of have to be like no tolerance about it. What do you think, Vinny?
Yeah, I think to be falsely accused of something and to ruin your career over it is just insane. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that, you know, a lot of the people that were accused of, I mean, we're just talking about, I mean, random, you know, all these random things that have come up. The people that deserve it. You know, it's like, you know, if they did some stuff that was shitty, I just know that, you know, some people out there, you know, might be falsely accused of something. I don't know who. I'm just saying there's like, if somebody came out and said something about me or whatever, I really don't have a huge career for them to ruin. But at the same time, if it's like they came out and said some shit about me that wasn't true to ruin my career, it'd be crazy to me. Mm-hmm. I'd actually like cause a stink. I'd probably be one of the guys that'd be like, "This is fucking bullshit, guys. Like I didn't do this.
Yeah,
I'm gonna petition this shit." Because
that's one of the best ways you can tell if it's actually a real accusation is because sometimes there will be accusations and of course the guy almost universally denies it.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll say, "I don't hate this person for accusing me of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to exonerate my name." That's when you know you're like, "Oh, they definitely did it," because you would hate this person.
Yeah.
If someone levied a genuinely, completely fabricated accusation against you, you'd say, "Well, I would
come out publicly and be like, fuck this person."
Yeah.
Straight up. I'd be like, I'm not here to be nice. I'm not here to make myself look bad. But that's the shitty part too, is that some of these people that you know, get accusations also feel like they're cornered. They can't say anything. They're trying to keep their PR people are be like, just lay low.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's the sad part too. Cause I mean, in the comedy community, like in LA too, there's a lot of people that are doing a lot of like bad shit. And then that's been going on for years, you know? So it's a nice power play to be like, to finally kind of weed that kind of stuff out. And like you're saying in Hollywood now, you know?
We're not mentioning any specific people or like, you know, we're not standing up for.
Right.
I mean, I don't think none of us are standing up for anybody.
No.
I think everybody that so far that got accused of like, you know, the big shit that went down, it's like, fucking, they deserve it. I think if you're dumb enough to do some terrible shit, that you know, fuck you.
Yeah,
sure.
Do you guys think that you should be able to joke about it on stage, like those kinds of events or stuff?
Are we specifically talking about like?
Just in general.
What kind of are we talking about? Like the Me Too movement? Are we talking about like racist comments?
I kind of feel like in general everything kind of envelops together in terms of like there's almost like this new standard being said of like, you know, don't mention that on stage, don't mention this on stage, you know, don't mention race on stage, don't mention this on stage, or if you do mention it, be sensitive or, you know, kind of like push the majority opinion towards this stuff. So like I'll give you an example. One of my favorite jokes that I heard recently was Norm Macdonald talking about Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
And how he was talking about, he's like, you know, it's just crazy. Like you guys took down like one of my idols. Just I loved everything about this dude. Like the way that he handled himself, blah, blah, blah. I didn't care too much about his stand up, but like, and like he kind of drops that at the end, which is like a really dope curveball.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like there was even some backlash about like that kind of stuff. Do you think that, are you guys of the opinion that you should be able to joke about anything you want on stage, or should you be kind of sensitive?
Well, I'm not usually super edgy, and so it's never been a huge problem.
Yeah.
I can't help but have like a visceral response to like when people say you can't say certain things. It's like, well, let's be reasonable. But at the end of the day, when people pay money to come to your show, or even if they're at a free bar show and maybe they were looking forward to it, maybe they just want to give you a shot and thank God that they're there, because otherwise no one else would be there to listen to you. I definitely don't want someone to leave that experience being hurt, offended, crying. Like, you don't want that. So
Agreed.
I can 100% get behind like the notion of I don't want to offend people, but it's also like I think sometimes there is a shift on the other end where it's like we are so sensitive as a culture right now, and there are things on a daily basis that you go online, you're like, how is someone offended about this?
Dude, this is my whole aspect. Stand-up comedy wise, here it goes. Ready? First of all, I'm not an offensive comic. I'm fairly clean. I don't like to say things that offend people, because I mean, yeah, if you do say something offensive, then be prepared to deal with that confrontation. I don't want to deal with it. And I like to make fun of myself. That's the kind of humor I am. I'm fairly clean. So it's not really a problem for me either. Yeah. But I do think that, I mean, stand-up comics have the right to be able to say whatever they want. That's like, it's just an art form. And I do think that people are overly sensitive. And if you have to mentally prepare yourself, if you're going to go to a comedy show, this might be offensive. But at the same time, this is where a lot of comics get it wrong, I think. Comics use this art form as like an outlet for therapy, which we all do. And I actually remember the guy that started the Cellar, and he told me all about how like comics. He told me something I already knew, but he basically said you can't go up there and talk stuff out as a therapy, because people are paying to be entertained. The people that are mainly paying for these shows are like the East Coast, the Midwest, these people that want to have a 9 to 5, they get off work, they hate their lives sometimes, and they want to go enjoy themselves. Yeah. And they're paying to be entertained. It's
they don't always hate their lives.
Not everybody. I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying, like, if you know, people.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
You got a 9 to 5. It's
for
like
sure. Absolutely.
You're like, I just want to be entertained. I don't want to have to hear about politics or bullshit of your opinion that I've been trying to escape for the day because I had a break in the break room and people were fighting about. It's like, don't go up there and bring your bullshit negativity because you have a strong opinion. It's like, go up there. That's why alternative comics will do the road and they bomb, because they forget that these people are not like, they're there to have fun and forget problems, and they're there to just, they don't want to have to overthink about jokes. They just want, like, that's why you'll see some of the hackiest comics destroy on the road, killing on the road.
You know what's interesting, though, as you were talking, I totally hear you. As you were talking, it reminded me, having started in Michigan, there, you would try to get booked on shows, certain clubs, certain rooms, whatever, all over the Midwest, and a lot of times, the mandate was a clean room. Obviously no cursing, no sex stuff. And it's interesting because that was kind of built in to the culture that if you go on the road, if you go to Kentucky, don't be surprised if they tell you to be clean. And there wasn't this, at least I don't remember, there wasn't this visceral pushback of like, you're oppressing me, fuck you. But we're doing that. It's almost like we're doing that with, like, there was that famous video about the bookers, the college bookers in Boston.
Ah, yes.
That like wouldn't book people that would talk about, say, sexual assault because that's triggering. And for better, I won't comment on the video or those bookers or anything, but you're like, well, back when I started, I never had a problem with someone was like, yeah, you can do my room, you just can't curse. I was like, okay, fine, I won't curse. These people are saying, these bookers are saying, yeah, you can do our room. You just can't talk about rape. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty easy for me to avoid, I guess. You can't be negative about the transgender community. That's certainly easy for me to avoid. But with that said, that video also seemed to touch upon.
I didn't see the video, but I don't know much about it.
It did touch upon like getting hypersensitive about, obviously sex assault, all that stuff aside, it did seem like the bookers were like,
Yeah, and
basically, if we don't like your politics, we won't book you.
And that was a little weird.
Absolutely
ridiculous.
too. If you're hired to be a specific, like if you're going to do a corporate event, they specifically say don't swear,
there you
no
go.
sex, no politics, no religion. You're like, so no fun. No, I'm just kidding. No, but you're like, no, but you have to just talk about yourself.
Cruises are
be clean.
infamous for that.
Absolutely, and it's just like, and guys, if that's what they hired you to do, you wouldn't do like an acting. You wouldn't get a part on a show to act and then all of a sudden start juggling. It's like just because you're a killer juggler, they're like, they didn't hire you to juggle, bro.
Right. But you know what I think the problem is? Because I think every comic likes doing colleges because colleges are fun because the kids are young and they're like excited.
Yeah,
not always fun, but especially if you're bigger and they go to see you, then they're fun shows. And not everyone wants to do cruises. And so
not everyone wants to do colleges
Not everyone
either.
wants to do. Yeah, that's true. But I would certainly default into guessing that more comics want to do colleges than cruises.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I was asked to do cruises and I had never really did them.
It's my nightmare. I mean, can you imagine having a bad show and then having to see these losers for the next 4 days?
Yeah.
Because you're still on the cruise for like 5 days.
Yeah.
And you have to do like a show a night. So what if someone comes back?
Yeah.
Oh, nightmare.
Yeah.
My nightmare. Although I've always heard they pay great.
Yeah, they do.
There's a bunch of people in Michigan who I think make their livings just doing cruises.
Yeah, but on the college side though, you saw that whole thing. Jerry Seinfeld came out and he was like saying all, these kids are like overly sensitive, or I'll have comics come off the road, like black comics that are friends of mine. I'll be like, dude, I was making fun of myself and being black, and then they'll be like, that's offensive. It's like I'm fucking black. Like I'm making fun of myself. Like I think that kids are becoming they think it's like, I don't even know if they know what they're offended about, Some of them.
I know what you mean.
I'm just saying. I mean, there's comics that are offended. Again, I'm like, this is coming from a clean comics, that aren't offensive, But and I can't stand comics that are like pushing the envelope because they think they can. That's annoying. I don't think. It's like, dude. I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's funny.
Right.
Yeah. I think we've kind of lost that barometer of like intent and like absurdism, like where it's like you just like look for the terms and then kind of latch onto that. Like we don't want to think anymore.
Yeah.
This is definitely not small talk, by the way.
Oh, yo, you know what?
I'm like, super deep. This is a comedy podcast. I'm like, well, I might even
no
lose
laughs
followers
thus far. No laughs.
We're not trying, man. This is behind the scenes.
Let's talk about my album. Do you want to talk about my album?
Yes, let's talk about your album.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's funny too because like I've only guest hosted maybe like 5 of these or something.
Yeah.
But I always just turn them into like
this is
political
behind the curtains. Exactly. Well, let's get a little bit more. So I want to know what you guys think was the hardest thing coming to LA and like performing in LA, in terms of like what was the thing that kind of either took you by surprise or maybe you weren't expecting.
I mean, coming from New York, there were. I knew more people, obviously. I think moving anywhere where you don't know a lot of people is always hard. You become insecure and you're like, what if everyone hates me? And I think LA, the way they book shows tends to be a little bit more quote unquote fair, which is everyone kind of gets a turn. Whereas in New York, there were I did like a bunch of shows where it was my friends that hosted it, and I was one of their favorite comics, so I just did it all the time. I did it every 6 weeks, and the crowd didn't care,
Yeah.
But in LA, that does not seem to go. That's not the case. It doesn't seem, but
there's so many strong comics here. So little stage time for the. I mean, there's like tons of not even strong comics, but familiar faces that are doing comedy. So it's like it's tough, man.
Yeah, it's so like like you said, saturated with like, and even from like the producer side, like trying to put on a show in LA, you're like, you better have the best.
It's hard to keep shows going when they get started. Yeah, it's
keep things consistently. All right. Also, do you guys prefer doing club shows or indie shows?
I definitely prefer indie shows. I've just kind of having started in Michigan and doing clubs there. I've always preferred sort of like bars and UCB and that sort of stuff. I mean, I'll do any one that will have me, but I tend to kind of, it's weird. Like indie shows tend to be like skewing under 40, like crowds under 40. So I'll do the improv in Irvine, and I'll be like, oh, that's right. 60-year-olds go to comedy shows. I'll go back in Michigan and do a show, and I'm like, I don't see great hair when I perform. You know, in these stupid bars or whatever.
I don't know. I like both. I like the comedy club for the fact that the environment is established. Like if indie shows, I don't like bar shows as much because a lot of them are distracting.
Yeah,
and
that sucks.
So if it's a room that's set up for environment for stand up in indie show, then it's awesome. But if it's not, and it's not clean, like the lighting's not there, or like I just did a show that was cool, but there's no lights, like so I was in the dark. I'm like I was joking around holding a candle up to my face. It's like that kind of stuff. Like this just happened. But a comedy club, you know what you're getting. The audience they know what they're getting. They
paid to be there.
They paid to be there. So it makes it more distinct of like this is what's happening. But you're right. I mean, depends on the comedy clubs too, and who you're opening for, or your audiences or whatever. Like whether what the audience are going to be like.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, I like any group of people that likes me back.
Yeah.
And whether that's outside, it could be in a bar, it could be a club. I don't care. If you like me back, I think you're
Amen,
great.
brother.
I'll think you're smart for the rest of your life.
Just be my friend. I'm here for the friendship,
friend,
guys. I'm here for the friendship.
Yes. So please go watch these amazing comics. But so before we get out of here, because we are nearing the end of our
we got 20 minutes.
Show. We got
how much time we got?
10ish minutes. Fine.
All
right. So I want to ask you guys a couple questions. These are kind of more like quick fire questions. We're not going to go super deep.
All right.
But this is going to be
we did that for the first 40.
For the first 40. So, but when people. The thing I love about podcasts is like you get to kind of know the person behind the comedy, like that's kind of what I push for in podcasts, as you can tell with this episode where we're just like, I want to know about your thoughts, man.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to shoot off a couple quick fire episodes, obviously no wrong answers, but just let me know. Yeah.
All right.
What smell reminds you of home?
What smell reminds me of home?
I'll say burning leaves. Reminds me of fall in Michigan.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was bold. I just made that up, but yeah. Continue.
I felt Burning Man reminds me of home. Man, I'd say leaves too. I think like the fall.
Yeah.
Like the leaves.
Because you don't get fall in LA.
Yeah.
You do not get fall.
Yeah. So leaves, the smell of leaves, maybe like.
I miss that.
Man, I miss fresh air.
Oh.
Like just being outside and just getting like a whiff of fresh air. Even a little smidge of humidity is actually nice.
A little smidge. Good use of the word smidge.
Smidge.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Nicely done.
It's very cute. Smidge.
I was a very third grade teacher.
It was a smidge.
That's what we're going to call the podcast. A smidge of politics. Yeah. That's going to be the name of this episode.
But people would listen to me like that.
I don't know anything about politics. This is the quietest I've ever been. So I'm like, I don't follow politics.
What about you, Vinny? Just the fresh air.
Let's go leaves.
Yeah.
Fresh air.
If you can do coffee with one person, dead or alive, who would you do coffee with?
Dead or alive is the tricky part.
I'll say Obama.
Obama?
Yeah, I wasn't ready for that one. So,
any particular reason? Any questions you'd ask him? Anything off the top?
Yeah, how's it going? Yeah, I don't know. I never do well with like really like deep questions like that because I'll answer it and then like hate my answer an hour later. So
yeah,
would it be pre-President Obama, like when he was president, or post?
We're getting really in depth here.
Oh yeah.
I'll say Obama right now. I would like to talk to Obama about the current political climate.
And what is he wearing?
I would not invite Vinny.
I'd be like, who's this guy?
What is he wearing?
And what is his footwear?
Yeah, right.
That's what I want.
He's got nice shoes on.
What about you, Vinny?
I'd definitely go with somebody dead because that'd be also crazy. Just to be like, yeah. So what's it like being dead? I'd probably go somebody dead. I'd go somebody like Abraham Lincoln or something. I just think it'd be sick. Be like, dude, hey, what's up? Nice beard.
You know what's weird? It is. I have this thought sometimes about like you've seen depictions of George Washington. For your entire life, your whole life, you've seen him on Money and all the shit. And you'll obviously never see him because he's dead. But like, how surreal would it be if you saw a face, like as close as you're sitting to me? There was at one point someone was sitting with George Washington in his fucking wig and shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, this fucking guy smells, or whatever. And like they were like this close, and it's just so weird to think I'll never have that potential.
Yeah.
I'll never have that ability to like see Abe Lincoln's face.
Isn't that nuts?
It sucks.
But that you'd be starstruck. You're like,
I would be so
hey,
starstruck. I think
Abraham
it's like
Lincoln,
the pinnacle of starstruck.
Big fan. Just want to say,
what
good
if
hat
it was,
choices, good
Right,
beard. You
right.
should live in Silver Lake. Love what you do with the separating
With the nation,
bringing
yeah,
unite.
right.
I love that. Big fan. I
turns
just was
out-
in Gettysburg recently. It was pretty
Oh,
awesome.
that's right. You're from PA.
We just did a little pit stop, visited.
Did you read about politics? No, you didn't. All right.
I didn't, but I do love history though. I do love history.
Yeah.
I like that. I love the fact that that city has so much history behind it, and fighting for bringing a community together.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. So if you guys could open for a comic, alive or dead, who would you open for?
Man,
Yeah, you go. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's funny because when I
don't want to stroke anyone's ego that much.
Yeah.
I'm going to say pass.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even if they're dead.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'd obviously go with somebody dead because you don't have the opportunity to do it since they're dead. So I'd go with somebody like Richard Pryor. Or
There you
somebody.
go. Or two Richard Pryors.
Yeah.
Two Richard Pryors.
go.
Nice. All right. I think I got one more question that I want to ask you guys. If you guys didn't have to live in LA for work or whatever reason, what state would you like to live in if you could continue, like you get all the same work that you're doing now
Yeah.
or whatever, but what
Yeah.
state would you like to live in
Mm.
and why?
I like New York, so I'd probably just go back to New York.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
on the East Coast. I don't think I could deal with winter anymore.
Really?
Yeah. Now that I'm here, I can't deal with the winters. It's too long, too many months,
Yeah.
too cold. It'd have to be somewhere warmish. I mean, whether it's here, I'd say probably California or maybe somewhere like North Carolina or South Carolina or something.
Wow. All right.
Nice.
Florida's too humid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Florida's really humid. Right.
Yeah. Do you have people listening from all over the country or?
Yes.
What's
I have
the-
people listening all over the world. We have a weird pocket of listeners in Bangladesh.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's the most random thing, but,
Nice.
but they exist.
All listening in, what's the big city there? Dhaka?
I have.
Sorry to disappoint you with our boring.
And we have lost
And
all of our
lack
listeners in
knowledge
Bangladesh.
for, Bangladesh.
They know nothing about us, and then they just tune out. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on
Thank
the
you for having
podcast.
us,
And,
yeah.
Yeah, Dhaka, formerly Dhaka. Largest city in Bangladesh. No, I'm killing
Nice.
it. I'm killing it.
Dude.
yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thanks so much
Thank
for
you
having me on the
so much for
podcast.
having
Trump's
us.
trying to repeal that city, man. It's not cool.
That's right.
That's such a cheap joke, man.
Yeah.
That's how we should.
Yeah.
That's how we should.
yeah,
end.
yeah,
That's how
yeah.
we should end
Well,
the, end the podcast.
Yeah, you can cut that out. You're the editor.
Yeah.
I'm not only not going to cut that out. I'm going to
Hey,
I'm going to
hey.
intersplice it.
It's your funeral.
throughout
Yeah.
the whole episode. Is there anything you guys want to plug? So this episode drops August 20th.
Yeah, you can
Anything
listen to
going
my podcast. My podcast I host with a couple friends called You're Making It Worse, or my album on called Barf City.
Nice. Just had Lena Dunham on, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Dude,
check
that's
out that episode.
Nice.
Yeah.
Vinny.
I'm gonna do my own East Coast. I'm gonna do my own East Coast and Canada tour in the fall. I'm gonna start with Pittsburgh in Ohio. I'm doing Rex Theater August 31st, Pittsburgh, and then
Nice.
Comedy Cellar in Youngstown on September 1st. And then I'll do a bunch of other random cities, Philly, New York, and do Canada. So doing that. I do have my own show at the Improv and Comedy Store, Socially Awkward. Socially Awkward is the third Wednesday of every month in Improv, fourth Friday of every month of the Comedy Store. I'm doing a web series that hopefully is going to sell as a TV show. So wait for that. Also, my favorite color is blue. I love the Titanic.
And since we've been so anti-social media, what's your guys' social media handles so people can follow you?
My social media is Vinny, Vinny, and my last name's Fasline, like the two words, but no T. So it's Fasline, Vinny Fasline. So if you could just follow me, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm Mr. Brent Sullivan.
Yes, please
Follow each
them.
other.
Yeah.
I don't think- Dude, what if we get up, like they edited this podcast, they released it, we only leave with one follower to each other.
Yeah, right.
You know what? I would call that one more than anybody else has gotten from this podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks so much for having me, man.
Thanks
I've
for
been,
having us.
I've been your guest host, Paul Antonio. You can follow me on social media, Paul Ant Verdugo. If you guys want to check it out, I got a bunch of shows coming up. Also, please support Comedy Pop-Up. We throw some amazing shows at Comedy Pop-Up. If you guys want to follow the podcast network, please follow at CPU Podcast. And I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.